This conference will now be recorded. This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, so I'm going to show what I've put together recently on the topic of path analytics for customer issues. So this is something I put together based on recent meetings we had from two different customers from two quite different industries. One is from the telco, the other one is from a bank. But I believe their common use case is can be solved in this way. Perhaps this is one solution. So perhaps there are other ways of doing this. Okay, so before I show the actual visualization, I'm going to show the use of Monarch to do the very initial kind of data exploration. This data set was obtained from Kaggle when searching for Telstra, which is the telecommunications company in Australia. So this data set comes from the telco industry. There are 7 different raw data files here, which I've imported into Monarch. But the 4 of them are the actual the raw data for the different columns. So we've got the severity, we've got resource type, event type, and log feature. And as I try to understand how this data relates to each other, they seem to be related in a very neat hierarchical order. So that's very good in a sense. So just to quickly show what the data set looks like. So all of the 4 data sets has a common feature called ID, a common column called ID, which means it's very easily, it can be brought together using that ID key. Now, look at the severity type. So there's over 18,000 IDs, and severity types itself is 5. So the severity is going to be changed later, which I'll show you, into something which is more relevant to the use cases. Resource type is the next level down. So resource has got 10 different unique values. So again, the resource type, the value names will be changed later. And then the events has got about 53 unique values. So we'll leave that. And features has got about 386 unique feature values. Now, what I find is that Monarch provides a very easy way to get a sense and get a feel of the initial data set. So from this very simple kind of preview, we can move to the next stage, which is preparation. So the aim of this video is not to show how to do things, but to show the actual use cases. But I'm going to describe briefly a few things here before I jump into the visualization. So basically, we've seen the 4 different data sets. I've used Monarch to combine them in a very easy way. Monarch does this very quickly, very easily. So 4 sets are combined with the common key. So I won't go through that, just to show that this table being highlighted is the results of the already combined 4 tables into one table here. So this is the final table that will be exported. So the final column for the severity has been changed to product. So in the telco case, you can think of it as fiber to the node, fiber to the building. Then you've got down below, there's fiber to the premises and some other things. So there's 5 distinct products altogether. So I won't go through, I won't try to find the others. In terms of the bank, you can think of it as AMX as an Amex card. Someone applied for DC, which is the Diners Club. Someone else applied for PrEP, which is a prepaid card. And it's a Visa and MasterCard, which is very little. So majority happens to be the Amex card here. And then the resource thing about it this way, it could be the mechanism or the transport layer where the events are being reported or captured. So for example, one of them could be the clients, one of them is called a network, and there are some others. There's about 10 of them. So I put one of them is called a browser, the other one is alias. Yeah, so I'm just trying to change the first two columns to some names which are more relevant perhaps to either the telco or the banking industry. The event types, there's too many of them, so I won't bother changing the events or the features. So I'm going to use it as they are. Okay, so the data prep stage is done in Monarch. Let's go to Panopticon, which is the visualization. So this is the main page here. So there's actually going to be two different sections. So from main, product, resource, event. So it sort of represents looking down into the hierarchy, something like drilling down. There's similarities there. So that's one concept that we can use to analyze the relationships between the different events when a customer face some issues. The other main part is actually tracing from the customer point of view. So given a customer ID, we want to know what is the path taken in the reporting of the events or capturing of the error. And it also allows traceback. But let me start from this main page first. So this main page captures everything, the entire data set. So again, let me just bring up the Monarch so it's easier to see this way. So again, I just want to remind us that there's the product here, and then the resource type, events, and the features, log features, going in that order of hierarchy. So we'll come back to here. So we keep in mind that Amex here is the product. So American Express card. So this is one product in this big section here. The other section is Diners Club card. So it's this big section here, or fiber to the node, or fiber to the building. And then there's a small section here at the corner here is the Visa card, which is very small, and MasterCard, which is also very small. So these two seem to have very little events being recorded. Maybe there's nothing wrong or no customer issues being faced by these two. So majority are the Amex cards and the Diners Club cards. Yeah, I know Diners Club is a very old product, but I'm just trying to find some names to put into these 5 categories. And also the other thing is that the original data set has got over 146,000 rows of data. And I find that very slow when using Panopticon. So I should mention at the beginning of this video is strictly internal only. So let me repeat. So this is a strictly internal Altair video, not to be shown to any customers or any demos. So guess I'm free to say that I've observed Panopticon to be very, very slow, or almost about 1 minute being frozen when I'm using the original data set. Maybe I can get some help later on that. So what I did was reduce the data set to 8,000, basically filtering customer IDs from 1 to 1,000. So I got 8,000 rows altogether. So it's a bit manageable here now. So what we are seeing here is the tree map, which is a very good way to see the overall data set, the hierarchy of it, and how one type of data is being composed inside another set of data. So for example, Amex, inside that there's our client, and then there's our network, and there's our browser, our by mail, resource wireless, package, drivers, alias, modem, and so forth. Right? And within that, our client, so I can actually right click on it and drill down to the R client. So now I'm seeing the R client within that Amex card or the fiber to the node. So here, our client, I can see the different events, and then different events, I can see the different features. I can drill down further. So now I'm at the event 11, and here's 11 events 15, and so on. So within this event 11, there's different features I can see. So everything is being captured here on the tree map, but although it's good that it shows everything, but it's very hard to trace one thing to the other. Let me just drill to the top again. This pie chart just showing that the products, so there's 5 different products, and then when I go to resource, it's 10 being broken into 10 different resources, so 5 times 10 is about 50, and then when I put event types, it just goes into very many subdivisions. This network graph here, I think, is the key to viewing or to analyzing the relationship between each of the variable. So in this the highest level that we are seeing, the graph is actually from the products. The edges of the graphs are directional. So it's from direction of products, in this case MasterCard, going into this node, which is the network. Okay, the resource type is network. So the different sources for the nodes. So for example, there's MasterCard here, and then there's this is the prepaid card, prep or Wi-Fi. This is the Diners Club, and this other one is a Visa card, and this should be the MasterCard. Sorry, that's the Amex, and I guess MasterCard is here. Okay, so arrow goes from the products to the tip of the arrow, which is the resource. So hence, in this narrow graph, it's product to resource. So we can trace where the product and resource relationships are. So with something called navigate in Panopticon, we can go to a deeper level. So this is something similar to drill down, but allows us to navigate. So I can navigate to the next dashboard through here. So navigating by product. So this is the next tab. So this whole dashboard is a parameterized dashboard. It's looking on the American Express card or fiber to the node. Okay, so everything here is actually a subset of the entire data set. So we're looking at the American Express card only. And the network graph here has gone down to a second level of hierarchy. So previously it was from product to resource, now it's resource to event type. So there are a total of 10 resources and about 50 over event types. So hence it's a very interesting graph. It's difficult to see in detail. Again, the nodes are from the resource. The source is the resource, and the points at each of the arrow or the edges are the event types. Okay, so you should be able to estimate or see that there's about 10 different source points for the graphs. Okay, so the table here just to show basically the numerical data. So actually there's a data set called issues, which are, I guess, could represent the number of issues being reported and how they relate to the events and the resource type and the product eventually. So let's drill down one more. So by going to the resource event table, let's go here. Okay, so I think I've jumped one. Let me just go back to here. Okay, so in this page here, so previously we were in the product page. Oops, let me go back.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, there was a hiccup there. Yeah, sometimes there's too much data. It takes a certain time, but this level of rows should be okay. Okay, so this page here is also parameterized. So just now on the product page, it was looking at a certain product called Amex. Now we are drilling down onto this page here. It's looking at the Amex and the resource, specifically the network resource. So again, it is a subset of the previous subset. Now the network graph here It's getting a bit messy because simply we've got a lot of different unique features. So this graph is pointing from event to features. Yeah, so I guess it's interesting graph again, but it's hard to track visually. So I'm just putting here just to show what it can do and what it can show, but it may not be that helpful on this particular variables that we've chosen to draw with. Um, so let's go down to one more level, which is the events. So again, this is a parameterized, which means we are looking at a very specific drilling down the section of the data. So the product is now Amex, the resource is network, the event is of type 47. So everything here in this whole page is to do with this set of parameters. And you can see that the log features, which is actually a lot, but now has been reduced to this set because we are looking at event 47 only of the resource network of the product, American Express. Now, okay, so the next thing, the interesting thing would be the network graph here. So unlike the previous graphs where we tried to show the resource, so the product, the resource, the events and the features, which is too many, this one is actually tying the customer IDs with the log features. So the source is actually the features and it's going to the customer ID. So the tip of the arrow, so arrow is pointing to the customer ID. So in this case, it's customer ID 563. And if you pick another point, it's should be some details there. Right, there's some details that flash by. So customer 215. So from the features, we are now getting into the customer identification here. So that's that. So again, to reiterate, so let me go back up. So from event, so we are not going to look into feature because there won't be any way to produce the graph for the feature. So from events, resource, product, and main view, looking at everything. So this is from a hierarchical view of the different data sets. Now, let's move to a totally different viewpoint, which is the customer-centric viewpoint. So this tree map is nothing more than just a list of buttons of all the different customers. So it's easily, we can pick a customer here and we click to drill down into it to go into another graph of interest. So we can pick a customer that we are interested in, or we can type in the customer ID here. But more interestingly is if we construct this tree map in a different way. So this is the same tree map showing exactly the same customer, but in a different way. And so each customer cell has got a different size. So they are sized by the issues here, if you can see this. So way to construct this tree map is you're using the size. I think it will be the sum of the issues. So the bigger the issues, or the more issues the customer has, the bigger the block it's supposed to be. So again, like the previous set, each of the little cells here is clickable because it was designed that way. And so when we click on it, we will be going to the next page, which is the more customer-centric page. So yeah, so this is a page network graphs for customer number 450, specifically for that customer only. So here we can see what's going on from the product, which is DC, which is Diners Club or fiber to the building. Then it goes to a resource type, which is network. And so in this graph here, we are graphing resource and event type. So the source will be network, as you said before. Network, now it's going to two different events. Event type, let's wait, it's not coming up. Oops. So event type 35 and event type should be 34. So anyway, the pop-up should tell which event it is. So anyway, it's here as well. So these two event types. So there's a product, there's a resource. So it only affects one resource in this case. It affects two different event types. And from event types, we see how it affects different log features, we call it. And so the source again is this event 34 and event 35. You can see something flashing on the table there as I hover over each of the H here. It shows on the table view on the top left. So feature number 232, and this H is feature number, it's not showing. Okay, this is feature 234. This is feature 312, and this is feature 314. So again, from product, we've drilled to we've connected with the resource and the different event types and different features. And this last graph, again, we are bringing in the customer. So it's customer IDs, which is customer 450 being affected by these different features. So we can then backtrace from features to the events to a resource to the product. Let's choose another customer. Let's go with the largest one here. And then we see this. So, yep, so there's American Express, the resource type is network, and then there's different event types. Each event type corresponds to different features, and the features are tied back into the customer ID. So let's try another one. So again, I've selected customer 215, navigating to the other page. So again, this checks that this is customer 215. So this graph is very similar to the one, at least in terms of the events and how it relates to the feature. So again, this is a customer-centric, centered around customer 215, and these are the different features it's affected by, and the features you can trace back to events trace back to resource trace back to products. So let's choose another customer. Let's try this customer. So graphs looks quite different now than the one previously. So previously there was a star formation, if you can see that, and this one looks like this. So starting from a customer now, so we got these customer 603 that's got this different features that's related to it, and then event 35 and 34 and so on. So let's see if there's any more interesting things. Yeah. Okay. So yes, so the colors of the network graphs do have a meaning. So it's color scaled from red, white to green, and as well as the thickness of the arrows do have meanings as well as the size of the nodes in the graphs. So all this can be customized when drawing the graph. So I think that's it. Thanks very much. Bye.